Greetings everyone. So welcome to our presentation for our midterm project in data structure and algorithms. Our project is titled Smart Inventory Management System, a simple yet powerful program designed for every small retail stores to manage their products, sale transactions, and inventory adjustments, all using custom doubly linked list. So in this case scenario, we were tasked to develop a system that helps store staff easily add, view, update, delete, and search for products and sales records. The system can also generate reports such as total inventory, total sales revenue, and even identify which products sells the most. So in our project, it is divided into three main modules. The first is the product management. It is for managing all product records such as adding, viewing, updating, and searching products. The second is the sales management. It is for recording and displaying sales transaction while automatically updating product stocks. And lastly, reports and analytics, which provides insights like total sales, most sold products, and out of stock items. So in this video later on, we'll explain how our code works, starting from the custom doubly linked list structure, which is the foundation of our system, followed by a short demonstration of its features in action. So, by the way, I am James Yuan Dalmasio. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into how our team applied custom doubly linked list data structure to build a smart inventory sales management system that's efficient, organized, and easy to use. Now, let's move on to one of the most important parts of our project. So firstly, we need to make a Java project on our IDE. So we call it Midterms Project DSA 107. And then, we make a different class for different purposes. We'll make a class specifically for doubly linked list. So by declaring it as a static, it means we can use it directly without having to create an instance of the main class. In simpler terms, this class will manage all the data operations of our program, such as adding, deleting, and searching records, just like how a warehouse keeps track of every item inside. So inside the doubly linked list, we define another static class called list node. So what exactly does each list node contain? Now let's break it down. Each list node represents one box of data. For example, one product or one sale record. After that, we need to declare the variables that we need. The first variable is the object element. It holds the actual data we want to store. For example, the details of a product such as its ID, name, price, or stock. We use this object element instead of a specific data type so that it can store any kind of item, whether it's a product, a sale record, or even a report summary later on. So the next two variables is the previous and next are what make this structure doubly linked. Why? Because each node connects to another nodes, the one before it and the one after it. This means we can easily move through the list in both directions, forward to the next product and backward to revisit the previous one. It's like browsing store shelves. You can walk left to right to find what you need. So together, these two pointers, the previous and the next, make it a doubly linked list. So meaning we can move both forward and backward through the chain. Next, we have this constructor for the list node. A constructor is a special method that runs automatically whenever a new node is created. Here, we simply assign the data we pass into the node's element variable. For example, if we add a new product named shampoo, this constructor stores the word shampoo inside the node's element. It's like creating a new box and labeling it what it's inside. Now let's move on to the next part. Here we have three important variables. First, the head node, the tail node, and element count. So firstly, the head node points to the first node in the list, the very start of our data. Think of it like a entrance of our warehouse. Then the second is the tail node. It points to the last node of our list, or the exit. It is where the last item in the chain is located. And finally, element count. It keeps track of how many nodes or records we have or we currently have. It starts at 0, meaning the list is empty when we first start the program. Each time we add a product or sale, the number goes up by 1. So the next method that we need to have is called getCount. It simply returns the number of elements in our list, or in other words, how many products or sales are currently stored. Since we already keep track of that number using element count, this method can return it instantly without looping or searching through the list. So if we have 10 products in the system, calling getCount will immediately return the number 10. In algorithmic terms, this is an O of 1 operation, meaning it takes constant time, fast, and efficient. So the next method is called isEmpty. It is a Boolean method that checks if our list is empty. It compares whether element count is equals to 0. So if it does, the method returns true, which means there's currently no data inside the list. But if there's even one record present, it returns false. So right when the program starts, or before we add any product, isEmpty method would normally return true. However, in our project, we were required to include dummy data that's already preloaded when the system starts. This means that from the beginning, our list is already contains sample products and sales records for testing and demonstration. Because of that, isEmpty product will automatically return false once program runs. So even so, this method is still useful. For example, if all items are deleted later, or if we apply it to another list like the sales list, which may start empty, it also shows that our system is capable of checking whether data exists or not, which is an important part of verifying list integrity. Now that we understand the structure of our doubly linked list, let's move on how it's used in managing our products. So to explain the add, view, update, and delete functions, here's Mark Nathan Boko, who will walk us through how our system handles product management efficiently.
Good day everyone, my name is Mark Nathan Arboko, and today I will discuss the add, view, update, and delete methods. So first, let's discuss the add method. It starts with static void add product with parameter scanner. This declares a static method add product that accepts a scanner used for console input. So inside the method, first is the string new product equal p plus product sequence increment. This creates a new product ID by concatenating the letter p and the current value of product sequence. Next, it prints the generated ID so the user sees it. Next, it prompts the user for the product name. Then, it reads the entire line the user type and trims trailing white space. If the user enters an empty line, new product name becomes an empty string. The code does not prevent empty product names. Next, it prompts the user for the unit price. It then reads the user input as a string, then calls parse double or default. Parse double or default attempts to parse a double and returns 0.0 if parsing fails or input is blank. That prevents number format exception crashes. Next, it prompts for initial stack quantity. It then reads stack input and parses into int via parse integer or default, falling back to 0 if invalid or blank. This default maintains the invariant stack on hand less than or equal to 0 only by convention. Negative values are prevented because the parser returns 0 on bad input, but a direct negative numeric input would parse to a negative number. Next is the product list that add last, new product ID, new product name, new unit price, starting stock. It contracts a new product using the collected values and appends it to the tail of product list using add last. Add last is big O of 1. It updates pointers, tail node, and head node if the list was empty, and increments element count. So last, it confirms to the user that the product was added and prints an empty line for readability. Next is the view products. So we have two view products method. First is the view products forward, and next is the view products backward. Let's discuss first the view products forward. It starts with static void view products forward without parameter because this method reads from the shared product list. Inside the view products forwards, it starts with printing a header. Next, it has an if condition. It checks quickly whether the list is empty using isEmpty. If yes, it prints none to indicate there are no products. Next is the product list that print forward. It calls a method that iterates from head node to tail node, printing current node dot element for each node. In this program, current node dot element is a product. The product dot to string method provides a human readable line that includes ID, name, price, stock, and unit sold. So next is the view products backward. It is identical to the view products forward except the header, and it calls print backward, which iterates from tail node to head node. Use this when you want the newest products first. Next is the update product method. It starts with static void update product scanner. It declares the method that will edit an existing product object in place. So inside the method, it starts by prompt asking for the product's ID. The update process requires an target, so ID is used. It then reads the ID string and trims spaces. Next, it calls a helper that performs a linear linear traverse of product list to find a product whose product ID equals the query. Next is it has an if condition. If the ID does not exist, the method prints not found and returns early. Next, it shows the current state of the product so the user knows what they're editing. It then asks for a new name. The prompt indicates that leaving input blank will preserve the existing value. It then reads the name input without trimming. Next, we have an if condition again. If the user type anything at all, not strictly white space, because we check is empty before trim, set product name to the trim input. If the user type only spaces, is empty returns false, but trim might produce an empty string. That empty name would then be assigned. A stricter implementation might check update name trim that is empty before assignment. Next, it prompts for a new price. It then reads user input for new price as raw text. Next, we have if condition again. If the user input is non-blank, attempt to parse a double using parse double or default. If parsing fails or invalid number, the fallback default is the current product.unit price, which effectively leaves the price unchanged. Next, it prompts for a stack delta rather than a replacement. This design lets the user add or subtract stack easily. Example inputs like 5 to add 5 units and -2 to remove 2 units. It then reads the delta as a raw string. Next, we have an if condition again. If the user provide text, parse it as integer and add it to stack on hand. This allows negative deltas. The program does not explicitly forbid stack on hand from becoming negative as a result of an update. The record sell method prevents selling more than stack on hand, but update product can create negative stack by design or by mistake. Lastly, it prints the updated product state so the user can verify the changes. Lastly is the delete product method. So it starts with static void delete product scanner. It's a method declaration for deleting a product by ID with a scanner parameter to read the user input. So inside the delete product method, first it prompts asking for the product ID to remove. It then reads and trims the ID string. Next is the doubly linked list that list node current node equal product list dot head node. It acquires a reference to the first node of product list. Next, we have a while loop. Inside the condition is it asks if current node is not equal to null. It loops over nodes until we reach the tail. Next is the product equal product current node dot element. It casts the element field from object back to the product. This cast is safe by program design because the product list should only contain product objects. Next, we have an if condition. If product.product ID equals target product ID. It compares IDs. Using equals string equality, it ensures exact match. This search is case sensitive because IDs like P1 are expected exact match keys. Next is product list that unlink current node. It removes the node from the list using the unlink helper. Unlink is big O of 1 in pointer operation. It rewires the neighbors and updates head node or tail node if necessary and decrements element count. Next, it print a confirmation showing the deleted product. Then, it exit the method early since the job is done. This avoids printing not found at the end. Then the if block ends. Next is the current node equal current node dot next. It advances to the next node in the list. Next, the while loop ends. If loop completes without return, that means no match was found. Next, it informs the user that deletion target was not present.
Hello everyone, my name is John Paul de Consorte from 2CSA and I am the one who will discuss and explain to you a part of our project which is the sales management system. So now, let's proceed to the menu. So it begins by printing decorative separator lines and a title Sales Management. So as you can see, it is to clearly indicate to the user which sections of the system they are currently in. So the program then displays four menu options, which is not one, record new sale, which allows the user to input a new sale transactions, two, view all sales transactions, which list all previously recorded sales, then three, delete a sale record, which let the user remove a specific sale from the system, and zero, return to main menu, which exits the sales sections and brings the user back to the main program. So after printing a line separator for readability, the program prompts the user with enter your choice. To select one of the options, the user input is read using scanner.next line and trim to remove any unnecessary spaces, ensuring a clean and accurate comparison. So the code then uses a switch statement to determine which section or action to perform based on the user's input. So if the user chooses 1, the program displayed and call the message record new sale and calls the record sale scanner method, which handles recording the details of new sale. If the user selects 2, it prints view sales record and calls the display sales method to show all existing sale in the system. So if the user enters 3, the system prints delete sale record and executes the delete sale scanner method, allowing the user to remove a specific sale record by providing its sale ID. If the user enters 0, the program display returning to main menu and uses the return statement to exit the sales management section, sending the user back to the main menu of the system. Then, finally, if the user input anything other than 1, 2, 3, or 0, the default case runs displaying invalid input, please choose a valid option. This informs the user that their entry was incorrect and prompts them to try again. Next is the record sale scanner method. It handles the process of adding a new sale. So it first prompts the user to enter a product ID, which it then checks using the find product by ID method to ensure the product exists in the inventory. If the product cannot be found, it immediately displays product not found and ends the process to prevent invalid transactions. If the product exists, the program asks the user to enter the quantity of the product they went to sell. It converts the input to an integer using parse integer or default and check whether the quantity is valid. It must be greater than 0 and must not exceed the available stock. If the requested quantity is greater than what's in stock, it alerts the user by displaying not enough stock and shows the exact number of units available. Once all inputs are valid, the program updates the product's information by reducing its stock on hand and increasing its total number of units sold, which is the in the line lifetime units sold. To reflect the sale, then it generates a unique sales ID like S1, S2, S3, and so on, using an incrementing counter, which is the sale sequence plus plus. The next, it creates a new sale object containing the sale ID, product name, quantity sold, and price per unit. So this sale record is then added to the end of the sales list that add list on that line, ensuring the transactions are restored in the order they were recorded. Then it confirms the operation by printing out sale recorded along with the sales details. So the next method is the display sales, which is this is a method responsible for showing all existing sale transactions. So it begins by printing the header, which is the sales, to organize the output. So the program then checks if the sales linked list is empty. If there are no sales recorded, it displays none to inform the user that no transactions exist. Otherwise, it calls the print forward on that line method to traverse the linked list each from the first node to the last. So printing each sale in the exact order it was added to maintain a clear and chronological record of all sales activities. So next is the method delete sale scanner, which it handles the deletion of a sale and the restoration of the affected product inventory. It first asks the user to input the sale ID they wish to remove. The method then starts from the head node of the linked list sales list that head node and iterates through each node to find the sales with matching ID. And once found it uses the unlink method to remove the sale node from the list. After deletion, it retrieves the product linked to that sale using the find product by ID method, which is and restores the inventory by adding back the quantity sold to the stock, which is the stock on hand, and subtracting it from the product's total lifetime sales, lifetime's units sold, as you can see on that line. So this rollback ensures that both the inventory and sales records remain consistent. Once the process is completed successfully, the program will display deleted and stock restored. Along with the deleted sales details, if no matching sale ID is found after checking all nodes, it informs the user by printing out not found. So that's all for my for our explanation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Resty Gracia and this is Report and Analysis. We're starting with the static method called Report Menu. Here we're listing the menu options, separating the options from the user. Then, switch statement. Depending on what the user types, we go to the right report. If the user fixed case number 1 or type number 1, we print a header called report total method, which we'll explain later. Then we break, because we don't want the switch to fall through like a broken elevator. Then case number 2 or option number 2. We all report revenue method. This one adds up all the money your business made. Then we break. Option number 3 or case number 3. This one is going to all report most sold. Find which product is the most sold. Then break. Case number 4 or option number 4. We call report out of stock. This one tells you which products are gone or no longer available. Then we break. In case 0 or option 0, the return statement breaks out of the method completely. And finally, if the user types something like banana or any character, we handle it gracefully with default. Then we move to the next method. This method calculates how many products exist in catalog and how many total units are in stock. In product catalog equals product list count. Initialize a counter to just the total number of products using left count in that method. Initialize total units in stock. Initialize a counter to accumulate the total stock quantity. Now the linked list node. Current node equals product list head node. Start from the head node of the linked list. The while loop covers the entire list. For each product is as the product the stock on hand to the running total. Finally, it prints both totals using 15.out.print line. So this method gives an overview on how many products exist and how many total units are currently in stock. This one sums up to the total revenue from all sales. It starts by initializing accumulated revenue to 0, then it loops through each node in the sales list. For each sale, it adds the total price for sales to the accumulated total. Finally, it prints a total revenue. Essentially, this method performs a linear scan, list and sum of all the sales total. This method identifies the top-selling product based on lifetime units sold. It starts with the Top-heading product equals null, meaning no product selected yet, as if traverses the list, it compares each product lifetime units sold to the current top product. If it, if it finds a product with higher sales, it updates top-heading product. After the loop, it prints the result, or says no product if the list is empty. Here. This one, this method shows report out of stock. This one lists all products that are out of stock, where out where stock on none is 0 or negative. It starts by printing a header heading out of stock. Here. Found any is allowed to check if any product met the condition. During the loop, if it finds such a product, it prints its name and ID and says found any equal true. After scanning all the products, if none is found, it prints none or none. This method is useful for identifying products that need stocking.
Good day everyone, I'm Keisler Escueta, and today I'll be presenting my project entitled Our Project Actually Smart Inventory and Sales Management System, which we programmed using Java. The main goal of this program is to demonstrate how an inventory and sales system works internally using a custom built double linked list instead of Java's built-in array list or hash map. This means all product and sales records are stored through manually linked nodes. Each node has previous and next pointers, just like how real data structures are managed in memory. So, this system has three main modules. The first one is product management, the second one is the sales management, reports and analytics, and exit program. So now I'll start the demonstration and show how each part works with actual user inputs. So when I run the program, the menu appears like this. When I'll type 1 and press enter to open product management, this will this will show the product management. I'll choose option 1 to add new product. I'll put the name, product, the price, the stock, quantity. Now if you can see, number 2 will view all the products. And you can view all the products by forward or backward. As you can see, I added the product and the price and the stock of the product. The ID is P3. So let's try updating the product details. Let's put P3. P3. New name, let's try putting the new name. Noodles. New price will be 15. Stock change will be 10. Let's try Viewing the products again. There it is, the noodles, the product, and the stock 20, and the sold is 0. So let's try the view all products backward for the traversal. Let me change it. Let's put 3. And now the noodles is at the top. Let's try deleting a product. Let's put P3. And the P3 is deleted. Let's try viewing the products again. And the noodles is nowhere to be found. Let's try search product by ID or name. Let's try bread. Okay, the bread is it's invalid. Let's try again. Let's put P1. Next is the sales management. So when we enter the sales management, it will show the record new sale, view all sales transactions, delete a sale record, and return to main menu. So let's try a record new sale. Product ID to sell will be V1. Let's try. Quantity will be 5. And now this will be recorded in our project. So let's view all sales transactions. Let's try. So it will show all the sales from the past. So the S1 will be bread times 3 at 55 pesos. So 55 times 3 will be 65, and 12 times 10 will be 120, and 55 times 5 will be 275. So let's try to delete a sale record. So the sale ID to delete. Let's try deleting the one we added. So let's try S3. S3. So it will show this that deleted and stock restored will be S3. Bread times 5. Let's try viewing the sales transactions again. And the S3 is nowhere to be found. So that's the sales management system. So let's try the smart inventory manage the reports and analytics. Let's try the view. This will be the reports and analytics. Let's try the view product totals. That the products is only 2 because I deleted the one that I added last time. Let's try view total sales revenue. This is the total of the sales of this from the sales management. This 120 plus 165 will be 285. Let's view the most sold product. It should be the bread, right? Let's go. Let's try. Let's copy. Oh, because it is times 10. Okay. Let's try the out of stock products. So there is none because we all have the two products we have is on stock. So let's try to add. Let's try to add a product without any stocks. That will be the most accurate thing to do. Let's try adding chips. Price will be 1 peso and the stock is 0. So let's return to main menu and go back to reports and analytics and view out of stocks products. And there it is. The chips is out of stock because I added the product, but we still don't have the stock because I put the zero on the stocks. So there it is. This is our product. This is our project, and internally, all these operations, adding, updating, deleting, and searching, are implemented manually using a doubly linked list. Each operation has its own complexity. So insertion or deletion is big O of 1 when node reference is known. So searching or traversing is O n since we loop through each node. So O n is uh, activated because we're using a loop. So every time we use a loop, the time complexity will be O of n. So this approach shows how data structures affect performance and memory management in real systems. So in conclusion, our smart inventory and sales management system successfully integrates custom W linked lists for product and sales storage, full CRUD functionalities, automatic stock updates and rollback during sales operations, and analytical reporting features. So through this project, I was able to apply both data structures and algorithmic concepts in a real-world scenario like store management. So thank you for listening. That concludes our system demonstration.